What is happening, folks? What is happening? Welcome to another episode of The Forge with Jimmy G, and we got Billy the Kid. Billy, if you want to introduce yourself and then tell us who our special guest is today.
Yeah, man. What's up, folks? Billy the Kid here. Thanks for joining us on another Sunday here at the Forge. Jimmy G and I are here to talk Transformers and to talk dioramas with our man Chris, TF Ark Legends.
Hey.
Man, I love your work. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why people need to subscribe to your channel.
My name is Chris. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. I like to hang out and build dioramas and play with my Transformers. Just a fun thing I got into a little while back and just haven't stopped.
Awesome. Very cool. What's up, Brick Builder? We got people in the house already. Now, your YouTube channel, how long ago did you start it, or was that just a recent thing, and what got you started doing that?
That is a very recent thing. I mean, I planned on doing it for a while, and then I was waiting on having enough content, to be able to start pushing some stuff out on it. And then a recent diorama that I'd finished for somebody, I'd finish it up, took some pictures, some videos, and sent to him, and decided, you know what, I'll make this the first thing that I'll, post on the channel and, let it go. So
That's very cool because I don't really see a lot of diorama channels, but I'll let we got a few people in the chat. I'll let you kind of just tell us who's all's in so far.
Yep. So we got Ninja Bill here. Ninja Bill says hello. He finally made it on time. That's very, very nice and appreciated. Brick Builder Prime says what's up as well. Really excited here to talk dioramas with you, Chris. Your channel really, I'm happy to see what you're doing with it because as Jimmy said, there's not a lot of diorama channels out there. I'm a diorama guy. I build them constantly. The Machine Museum and Air and Space. Good evening. He's been an awesome person with the chat, so I'm really looking forward to what they have to do. So I'm happy to see that you have this channel. Guys, you need to go on there and give them a subscribe because it's really, really cool to see what's going on. Angel King here says, "What's up, my brother?" AK Designs obviously designs things. Maybe you're a diorama guy too. I really hope we got some diorama folks in here. But I'm going to keep rambling because
I am not a diorama guy. I have these hot dog fingers here. I can't do any of that stuff. Like I even tried doing plastic models. I'm glad like blockies and stuff is all just snapped together because if it was glue, I mean, I would have pieces hanging from me, all that kind of stuff. I am just not that kind of creative, and I just appreciate and I bow down to all of you that do that kind of stuff, that can do that intricate because mine would be like an 8.9 on the Richter scale as I'm building it, so that kind of shaky. But we do got some news and things like that we're going to talk through. Ninja Bill, and then what do we got here?
Ninja Bill builds them for Gunpala, and Jason Sled thinking he needs a diorama for his work desk. Listen, Jason, we're going to be showing off some of Chris's work after the news, and I don't know how busy he is, but man, Chris's work is something that just blew me away. And I'm not usually one to show off other people's stuff when I build the things, but it's just that good.
It is really good. I was excited when I saw those photos too, even to the point where I asked him to do something for me eventually down the road. But let's talk some news and what's going on in the world of Transformers news. A little bit quiet this week, which is great. Zane Bono, how's it going?
What's going on? Man, Zane's the man. If anybody's not on his Facebook page, get on it. Zane is the man.
He's the man. Let's go. Legends. I don't know. So anyway, but some news and stuff before we get into it. It is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you all. I thought about just making it all a Star Wars.
I look what I'm doing.
That's it. You're going to make a lot of Star Wars fans pissed off on that. So
that's intentional.
That's it.
It's also Star Wars month in Fortnite. If anybody wants to get on, man, I'm itching for that General Grievous skin.
And we all know the best Star Wars movie was The Last Jedi, so that'll make a lot of people mad too as well. So anyway, I'm just kidding out there. Don't crucify
it's Empire, and we don't need to discuss anything.
Empire, but Revenge of the Sith is a good second. I went and saw that when it re-released in the theaters, and I'm glad I went back and saw that in the theaters.
Revenge of the Sith is great. I was watching Attack of the Clones tonight. Like, I'm good with prequels.
How are you? Are you a Star Wars fan there, Tia?
I love
All right.
Star Wars. I think if I'm picking one, if I only got to watch one for the rest of my life, I don't know. Many people feel about it, but I'm probably going to pick Rogue
Rogue
One.
One was great.
Rogue One's a great film.
That is the best. That would
It,
I would say, yeah.
it touched.
Yep. If I don't know if Alien Snot Rocket's watching it right now. I got a buddy in here that sometimes comes in. He would be 100% behind you.
Yeah.
Like we have this conversation constantly. Rogue One is a great film.
It's like right
Mhm.
after Andor season 2, I'm going to go right into Rogue One and watch that again. So this is going to be so cool.
Yep. Yeah. The climax, the way it leads right into the original trilogy.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So this is just a little bit of an interesting chart. Again, we don't like to talk politics here, but we just want to just share some things because, again, if the current this is future casting, this may not happen. This may happen. I don't know. But if current climate keeps happening, this is about what happens to small toy companies and mid-sized toy companies. Just with the tariffs and stuff, they're saying that 81% of small companies are delaying orders, 64% are canceling orders, and then 46% will go out of business within weeks and months. And so we know how this has affected some people. I've gotten messages from some businesses that I frequent that said, hey, it's our shipments are kind of slowing down. Also, we're spending a lot more money, and so the cost is of course getting passed on to us as collectors on there. I'm still of a wait and see. Let's see what happens. Let's hope it goes away. But anyway, any thoughts between y'all two? I know some of y'all probably have small stores you like to visit, and probably are seeing the pinch there too as well.
I'm gonna let Chris start off, and then I'll jump in.
I mean, I've noticed some shipping prices, but I particularly, I'm a Legend scale guy, so
You're not gonna feel it as bad.
I'm probably not going to feel it as bad. But I mean, I'm interested in everything. I watch everything, so I can definitely see how it's going to be a big issue for some of the more heavy hitter collectors, that are out
Absolutely. So just so you know, as an update to this, the museum, I'm just going to cut it to the museum. If anyone plans to get knockoffs from Temu, they will no longer ship to the U.S. This just happened. These are things that are going to happen. It is unfortunate, but I'm of the wait and see mentality as well. Things have to get better. That's it. If not, I'll just go to my, stores that I like to go to and pick up some older figures and scratch the itch with figures I may have missed out on. Zane Bono wants to know, Chris can do, he's saying Chris can do a crazy good Decepticon diorama with Unicron, but with the Empire theme and the Death Star in the background, that would be sick. What do you think?
I mean, possibly. I mean, I'm not going to say no to trying. I mean, like I've said before, I'm a novice at this stuff, so it's like anything's a challenge, and
like that.
Just education.
Well,
humble and honest. Let's do it. Let's go.
That's it. So Takara, as you know, the Wild Beast, the King's show that's on YouTube, the toys, I believe they're out in Japan already. But these are some of the supporting characters, some of the supporting beasts, and the elements there, as well as how they combine to Optimus and Megatron. By the time it's all said and done, when you combine them fully, you're looking at about a Commander class sized bot here. And I love how that Megatron kind of has that little bit of a armada with those horns there on the side. But any thoughts? I know this is something, Billy, you talked about possibly getting for your kids.
Yep.
But if I can find them in the States, I'll get them. If it's not too much to get them here, then I would.
I'm sure like Hasbro Pulse will ultimately sell these. Every once in a while they'll pull up Takara exclusive figures and they'll sell them on Pulse. And I would just figure I'll buy a set for my son when they come there and just see how that goes. Christopher Horton stating right there.
What up?
He is very dynamic with his work. Yes, he is. I cannot wait to show up.
My man.
That's it.
And yes, that Megatron does look like a Megazord. But again, we are pitching 6-year-olds here. They're going to love this stuff.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
What do we got next?
This is somebody's Transformers, so this is going to be great. Of course, we got the War for Cybertron Thundercracker that's been leaked. Here are some product shots on it. Love the War for Cybertron. Hope it still gets. I know they've been saying it's coming to the Xbox again and things like that, but haven't seen it yet. But those War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, those were some really great games and some
Yep.
really great character designs on it.
And
So.
they had some fun multiplayer.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Did you play any of those, Chris?
I never did. I can honestly, gosh, I probably didn't know they existed until maybe 5 years ago.
Really?
That those
Okay.
games were
Okay. What I loved is what I loved is the third party company like Planet X has a lot of those War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron figures. Like their Triptychon looks mean. That thing looks awesome. I heard it's a four-legged female dog to put together, but I heard it's awesome on that. So, and then here is a leaked shot of our possible Alpha Trion. So we're getting an Alpha Trion figure that's not the Scourge mold like the Hero Was Born. So, any thoughts on this? What do you want to see? Are you happy about it? Are you sad about it? What do you think?
I'm going to say I'm excited for it. I love Alpha Trion. I'm happy to see him getting some love, and it looks like an original Hasbro mold. However, I believe I sent to you, or maybe not, to somebody else, that Alpha Trion in vehicle mode is like a carbon copy of a third-party release that had been previously done. So I couldn't find it. I don't want to be rude and be on my phone the whole time. But it is a exact, it's what we talk about quite frequently. It's an exact realization of the free research and development that Hasbro and Takara have by allowing these third-party companies to design the figures we love. I'm a big 3P guy. I love 3P work, and I'm happy to see it kind of become mainline. I'm hoping there's a little more to this figure that really, breaks the mold for Hasbro.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
And Ninja Bill, I agree with that about, despite never transforming. I mean, it would have been cool if they just made a very posable Alpha Trion figure. But, of course, Hasbro being Hasbro has to make whatever they make on that. Now, Chris, do you collect any mainline? Are you completely out of mainline? Or are you kind of a toe in there or not a toe in there?
I had, when I was getting back into this stuff, I had tried some mainline. I think it was the Warpath from I don't know if it's like the Bumblebee Be Worthy or I don't know, whatever the movie stuff they were doing. But there was a Warpath, and I thought it was pretty cool. Then at the same time, that's when I started teetering into Legends and picked up that that 35EX Shockwave, and that was just there it goes. But other than that, for anything mainline, it's I'll look around for any old school G1 bricks,
so
just to maybe clean up on a shelf or something.
That Shockwave is what sent you into Legends World?
Yeah, I started seeing the stuff pop up and got interested and wanted to check them out, and probably spent like a week debating on what I was going to grab because I was like, for the size and the price, I was like kind of trying to have a hard time getting it to get close there. Then I just went ahead and grabbed the Shockwave.
That was it.
Next thing you know, I've got Bumblebee in the cart. I've got Wheeljack in the cart.
That New Age Cyclonus is what did it for me.
That
figure, man. It had an ab crunch. It had everything the Fans Toys Masterpiece Cyclonus had, and then some. You had a fully working waist swivel. You had an ab crunch. I was just like, done. Let's go. Legends all day.
Yeah, mine was Magic Square Optimus.
That's my favorite Optimus Prime of all time. And I'm a New Age fanatic. Like, I will be the guy that comes out and says it. But that Magic Square Optimus is just a game changer. Real quick, since we were talking about Alpha Trion, the reason Ninja Bill waited was he wanted the red Trion that never came. I would have bought a red Trion in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, 100%.
MDO5. What are we talking
Yep.
about here, bud?
This is the other company that is making a KO of the Studio Series 86 Prime, but with lots and lots and lots of goodies. So here is some of the stuff it is coming with. You're gonna get to do the whole Starscream thing. You're gonna get to do the whole Skybound thing. You get your choice of regular windows or cell shaded windows. You're gonna get a lot of crap with this. And I don't know what the price is. Billy, you were thinking probably around 70, probably about the same price of the Studio Series 86. I'm curious as to if like this stuff would be able to fit on the 86 too as well. So I don't know if they're using the same kind of joints, molds, anything like that. I don't know if it transforms the same or what, but I don't know. TF, did you pick up the Studio Series 86?
No, I had not.
It's probably one of my favorite mainline. But even though it had the ankle thing, I don't care about that.
Yeah, that's as far as like the mainline stuff goes. That's the one I'd heard a lot, the most feedback on that made me interested in maybe looking into.
It's what made me kind of like
yeah.
happy about Hasbro again. I would say,
Yeah,
I agree with Jimmy. It put my faith back in Hasbro. It did not convince me to keep buying Hasbro, but it gave me the faith. Brick Builder Prime, just so you know, here's my selfish plug of the evening. ShowZStore.com does have pre-orders for this exact knockoff Optimus Prime. And when you purchase, please consider using my reviewer code BTK. It helps my channel grow in ways you could never understand, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, Shozy Store does have that up for pre-order.
That's it.
That does look good for a knockoff, and I think that they're smart for doing it because you do reach out to the Skybound collectors. You reach out to the Gen 1 Toon collectors that like doing that Starscream Optimus Prime thing. I could care less about that Starscream Optimus Prime thing, and I could care less about the Megatron conversion thing because this is supposed to be Gen 1 Optimus Prime 86. None of that shit's needed. However, I do love that they gave us the cell-shaded windows. That's what's really got me considering buying that.
Well, the cool thing is New Age is coming out with their Skybound Prime, so that'll be great.
That's going to be beautiful.
That'll be cool.
Absolutely. Flame Toys. So they have released shots of their IDW-inspired Megatron, and it looks freaking cool. That's all I got to say. I know there are people that are on the fence on transforming Transformers, non-transforming Transformers. We live in a world where we have blockies, YOLO Park, 3-0, this stuff now, so it's a reality. But this thing I think it looks cool. I don't know if I'd add it in my collection. I might add it if it does the glowing thing, but if it doesn't, I don't know if I would add it.
Chris, what do you think, bud?
Makes me think the first thing that comes to mind is Archangel from X-Men.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yes.
That gives me like the Archangel.
I can see that.
That would be cool to have like a Heat Boys like Mecha Archangel kind of thing. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Like I was thinking, was that who did the? It's like the Captain America Wolverine, but they kind of got like robot.
That was I don't know who did that. Heat Boys did the Turtles.
Yeah, the turtles that they do are sick.
Something like that, but yeah, Archangel would be a good pick for something.
Absolutely,
like that.
I dig it. It's got that Neon Genesis Evangelon thing going. I hope I said that right. I probably butchered it. I can't say things properly.
We just lost some viewers because you butchered that, Billy.
I'm sure I did. I think it looks cool. As an older collector, as someone who, I've got multiple kids and time is limited, I don't mind non-transforming Transformers at this point in time because it lets me appreciate these robot mode designs that may not be as true if it had to transform. So I could spend that time just fiddling and posing and taking cool pictures and not have to worry about all those transformation times. Ninja Bill Reviews says it's the Freedom Gundam. I'm going to have to look up Freedom Gundam designs and see. What do we have next? Because I really want to talk about...
Yeah, Mikado right here. We've got their Ultra Magnus. So if you've seen their Prime, this is their Ultra Magnus, their Chibi style. Of course, this is just half the man he used to be. So hopefully we get the trailer, which is the rest of this guy. But I really dig this. As Billy knows, I dig the chibi, the cute kind of kawaii culture looking Transformers. And Truck Boy for this Mikado Truck Boy was a pain in the butt to transform, but it was very cool looking. This is very probably will be the same on that too as well.
I was going to say, it looks like it is a horrible time transforming that thing. That looks like way too many flips and folds for my patience.
Just like at a fat camp. All right, so we'll keep moving. But Magic Square, we get to see their prototype of Swoop. So we know we're getting very, very close to that. I'm very excited for those Dinobots to be completed because we know that once they complete the Legend Scale one, I think, and once they complete their Masterpiece Bruticus, they're probably going to go Masterpiece Scale on these Dinobots too as well. But I love their Dinobots. I love the look. I love the feel, the beefiness. And I know you've been able to fix it with the floor polish stuff or whatever you got there, Billy. So
yes.
Are you a Magic Square guy, Chris?
I do like Magic Square. I am a New Age guy, and my experience with Magic Square is New Age hasn't made it yet, but Magic Square has. So I've got the Menasor Bruticus, the Legend Scale Bruticus. I just recently got to replace my Magic Square Trailbreaker. So, but I like Magic Square, but I think it's something to do with the engineering that I'm drawn more to the New Age and just the feel and everything. Now, I mean, they've got some stuff that I think their hoist is one of my favorites. Magic Square's hoist, and their combiners have so far been top notch, except for that Swindle, the Legend Scale Swindle,
utter nightmare.
That thing. I almost threw it against the wall just so I could pick it up and throw it against the wall again.
Mine was Vortex. So, Vortex for me was the pain in the butt.
He was the one, I thought he was going to be the nightmare, but the one that gave me the most trouble was Swindle and Blast Off, those leg panels. That's really my only thing with Magic Square. Sometimes those dovetail leg panels, they just...
Yeah, if you don't line up perfectly, you're not going to transform it. Like, everything has to be in the exact spot it needs to be in. But
it's like, that's probably what pushes me more on the New Age end. Like, I don't care if something looks a little more panely, if the engineering is fun.
You're in my boat, brother.
That's the whole point of having fun. I don't want to sit there and get mad at it and spend 45 minutes trying to transform it.
No, I'm the same way.
If I'm going to spend 45 minutes, I want it to be fun. That the Romulus, the New Age Romulus, that thing was insane.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I picked that up too. That's a great little figure. I'm looking forward to this. I'm New Age. Like, I am a New Age fanboy, but I prefer the Magic Square Dinobots design. Like, there's just something about them that I like. However, all of mine have been loose, flimsy pieces of garbage that I've had to that I had to fix. And
I had not heard that.
Yeah. I've had to fix all of my Magic Square Dinobots. New Age Dinobots have been perfect, but the Magic Square I had to tighten the joints on every one of. Once they were fixed, they're wonderful, and they're my display Dinobots.
Yep, that's true. That is true. 01 Studio repaint of Seed right there. We'll just move on. That thing's not that great.
Not too good.
Not too good. I don't mind the Unicron repaints, but that Seed one, I mean, if it was a rusted out Cybertron, yes, but yeah, it's just, anyway.
Nope, let's paint it in Rodimus colors and cash grab it. I'm good.
That's it. And
it could have been like a zombie version.
I would love a dead Cybertron would be awesome. Or even if they threw like shades of like green and brown and said that it's Beast Machines.
Hell,
I could even figure that. But who am I to design shit?
Yeah, make it a Death Star. That would be great. So Fans Hobby, just with Metal Hawk right here. So now we've got a lot of the cast of the Super God Master Force, all Masterpiece scaled. The reason why I put this together, really love the look of every single one of these except for their God Genrai. Their God Genrai is just does not fit, I don't think, in this group. I think Takara's fits much better, but I am so glad that we've got Super God Master Force Love, and I know that DX9 is doing Legend scale Super God Master Force, so I can't wait for that.
Yep. I agree with you, and that's how I'm going to put it. Leave it at that.
Cool. And let's see here, Mecha Invasion, just really quickly, they got their yellow G2 Devastator. So if you haven't seen their stuff, they are really, really cool, very stylized. If you're a G1 purist, these are not for you on that. So, and then X-Transbots, of course, is re-releasing another Commander stack, but this time in a metallic color version. So the ever-going fight between Fans Toys and X-Transbots is continuing forward. Fans Toy still probably wins, though, on that. But let's see what we got left here. Guardian Model Studio. This is a masterpiece. I wanted to kind of hang out on this one. This is a masterpiece, Bayverse Prime. I think one of my favorite primes of the Bayverse. Although I'm not a big fan of a lot of their designs, I do like that Prime, and I do like the Dark of the Moon Megatron. But any thoughts on this guy?
Chris, I'll let you start off.
I'm not a Bayverse guy, but I mean, it looks good. It
looks
for
like
Bayverse, I guess.
It's gonna be a pain to transform.
The only thing Bayverse, I mean, not trying to fall back to New Age or whatever, but there's that Megatron they did. I have not seen anybody with it yet, but everything I saw on it, it looks.
Yeah, I'm saving my money for that one. That one
Yeah.
I do want.
Yeah, I think it was like upwards of 300 or something. Yep. But no, it looks good.
I agree. The Dark of the Moon Prime is my favorite Bayverse design. I'm not talking about Bumblebee. That's its own thing. But for what they did with the Bayverse, the first 3 movies, that Dark of the Moon Prime with the abs, that's it for me. That's awesome. And I love that Megatron too. That tanker truck Megatron is so original. New Age did make one. I have not shelled out the coin for it yet, but it's beautiful. This thing's going to be a bitch to transform. That's all I have to say.
Absolutely. Then we go a little Transformer adjacent to my favorite, one of my favorite cartoons when Transformers finished. Takara went to this series, the Brave series, and we got Gal Gaigar's Charujin. And if you don't know who these are, this is Enryu, and I forgot what the other one's name is. But they're a fire truck and like a utility truck, and they form this big guy who's a support for Gal Gaigar. You can kind of see him in the back there, but there's the 2 bots right there, and then there they are in their alt forms, and then finally together. So what's interesting is they don't say transform, they say system change. And then they don't say combine, they say symmetrical docking. And so Transformer Adjacent takes a lot of inspiration from our beautiful friends Takara and Transformers. Any thoughts? Any of y'all ever seen Gal Gaigar, or any of y'all know anything about the Brave series?
I do not.
Well, I will. One day we will have a show on this stuff, and I will one day be the person who can school everyone else on this stuff. So.
What I know of this series is through you, Jimmy.
That's it.
I do think it's great. I love the mirror designs. I just think that looks so cool aesthetically, and I think it's pretty cool. I'm sure it's going to be expensive as all hell, but it looks great.
It's pose metal. It's going to be upwards $350. Well, after tariffs, probably about $450, $500.
All right, so I'll play for it in the Transformers Underground.
That's it. So let's talk dioramas. So that's what we're here to talk about, because we could have all these beautiful robots. We could have all these wonderful figures, but what makes them come to life is where you put them. And so, Billy, I'll let you take it away, and we're going to kind of get into this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to figure out why Zane Bono said crickets.
Because he doesn't know the Brave series either, probably.
Okay. So I am a longtime collector. I love having my figures on their shelves in their diorama, in their DTOFs or whatever it is that I'm using. But, you know, it's so boring to have 30 figures on a shelf that they're standing on clear plastic like trays or whatever. I always needed something that grabbed my attention. So I spent my time de-stressing building dioramas. These were things that just made me feel like the environment was there and I could touch it and I could be a part of it. And it's my favorite thing. It's my favorite part of collecting. It's not so much the toys anymore. It's building these scenarios. And one day I go on Facebook and up comes the nicest dioramas I'd ever seen with backgrounds that I never even considered making these backgrounds an interactive three-dimensional thing. And it was this gentleman, TF Ark Legends, Chris over here, that just kind of, in my opinion, I know you're new to this and you say you're learning, but I feel like you kind of changed the game. Like you brought in a perspective that I never thought of with the dioramas, with your backgrounds. And I really would like to show off some of his work so people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let me pull up the slides here. So, Chris, what got you started in making these?
Just kind of wanted something fun for, whenever I started, trying to get some of my old G1s and rebuild that stuff. And it was kind of the thing you never had with Transformers as a kid was GI Joes. You had play sets. Everything had a play set. Transformers, you never got a play set, and it would have been hard to do anyway because all that old stuff is so out of scale with itself, and so you never really had anything except for whatever dirt was laying around in your driveway and stuff. So when I just kind of started small with like some pieces here and there, it's like, that doesn't work for me. All right, try this. That doesn't work for me. And then Legends, I started getting into Legends, and that was kind of something that really clicked there. So I was like, I can make something that is fun for me. I can stare at it while I'm watching TV and totally miss whatever I'm looking at. And at the same time, I can move things around, if I want to change the scene, if I want to pull the Dinobots out of the cave and have them, with the Constructicons or something like that, just whatever my imagination. It's like, it was kind of, I figured it was probably something to do with like how to capture that imagination you had as a kid, but now you're an adult. So you got to find different angles, I guess, to tap into it maybe. And it just kind of grew from there, it kind of, there's no right or wrong way to do a diorama. It's just whatever works for you.
No, that's
really
great. And this looks freaking phenomenal.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I could just sit here and look at. I could just sit here and look at this. And what I'm going to do is, y'all saw that the chat overlay is off. Our faces are off because I want this. I want these pictures to take up as much of the screen as possible.
Yeah, that is originally this setup. That whole thing was Ark. Was the Ark, interior of the Ark, and I decided I just aesthetically, I mean, it was okay, but I wanted something more, so I decided I would just kind of do like the teletrans section and like the entrance tunnel, where like kind of to me was like the big pieces of the Ark you always watching, the old cartoons. Yeah. So I was just like, I'll focus on those. Teletran, courtesy of Collector Crafts, they do the Funby Studios prints. Then do a little Dinobot cave next to that. Then I kind of had some scraps on the other side that I just had laying around. Wanted to make a little desert outpost for Autobots just to be kind of hanging out and doing whatever. And then the top section is kind of like my homage to the Ultimate Doom series. So it's like a Cybertron in the background with the Decepticons and Volcano, all that stuff. So
yeah, it's
cool. So I'm pulling up comments because people are just talking about how amazing this display is, and it truly is, man. It's like I said, you're setting the bar here, and it's kind of eating away at me that you're saying you're new to this.
Well, every time I do something, I'm learning something else at the same time. So it's always kind of feels, nothing's ever done, and I'm not going to sit down with anything and have it, look near perfect in 30 minutes. I'll spend a month working on something. So, and it's all about like, this Teletran, the Ark, that was also kind of my wanting to have like my take on how I would want it to look, as opposed to, I guess something I see a lot, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I think they look great, but I think it's Toy Hacks does like the backgrounds you can get for the whatever. And I think they look great, but the orange has always bothered me. So I wanted to try and get more of that true copper and rust, kind of look. And the toy hack stuff I think looks great, but it just didn't work for me visually. And and I encourage anybody that's interested in doing dioramas, just jump in. You'll find a way to do it, that works for you. And it's an individual thing. It's like, this will be what mine looks like. And nothing against the toy hack stuff. Like I said, they look great, but what bums me out is whenever I see a lot of displays, but they all look the same when people are using the same backgrounds and stuff like that.
It's
But
yeah.
it's not a knock. Just me personally, I want my individual.
No, and the individuality shows, man. It's beautiful.
that,
And that little Tron I found back there.
yeah, where did you get that Tron game? That is freaking amazing.
There's an eBay seller. He sound which just brings me another point. If you're looking for something that scales well with some of these legend stuff, there's a lot of these 3D prints. This is I'll hit you up later at the link. I can't think of the name now, but he's an eBay seller and he does a lot of Star Wars stuff. So a lot of the Star Wars scale for like the old figures and stuff, they scale pretty good, with the legend scale. As far as like an individual, I mean, obviously they wouldn't have an arcade that big, but he's got extra just random things like this, arcade games. There was a Donkey Kong one, and lots of fun little stuff.
It's so cool. We'll go on to the next. This is this the entrance area?
Yeah, that's Smokey coming in from patrol.
And I can't believe you have that. That's one of my that's one of my like grails.
Yeah, I made a trade with a guy. I didn't get this in the trade. I basically traded him a figure. He threw me the cash, and the cash went into me getting a hold of this, and I had a good lead on a decent price for one. So I kept it, I think, under 70 for this guy.
That's great.
That's awesome. And the lighting is, what are you using for your lighting and stuff for your dioramas?
I don't know what the name is, but it's they're just LED strips, but they have multi lighting, so I can change, like if I want to do like a black light look, you can do different colors and stuff like that, change the brightness, or, up or down or however.
It's just, again, it's just beautiful. This is just beautiful.
Yeah.
This right here,
that last one, I did different time of day panels too. So like the daytime, you can have like a dusk look or a
very
nighttime
cool
look.
So like the background back there, you can just switch those out. Okay.
Yeah, just slide that panel out, flip it around. Like the other side of that one, I think, is like the evening look.
That's so cool.
Here's a closer look at that. This is your TV stand, correct?
Yeah, this is my TV
just
stand.
Awesome. That is just awesome. Like I said, I am envious of the talent here, and for you saying that you're just dabbling in this is some next level stuff, man.
Yeah, totally agree that I mean, I really feel like you're changing the game in the dials. Like it's just beautiful, man.
I was just taking what I remember as a kid and what I see in the cartoons and try to create that. I mean, I look at this, I see a lot of things that I should go back and touch up on, or something I wish I would have done different. Maybe some dry brushing here and there, and
dry brushing is my favorite thing to do with these dials. It brings out such great detail, and it's like that moment of satisfaction when you hit that dry brushing moment. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, a lot of the earlier stuff, like when I did these, like it's one of those things. I get close, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, so I start forgetting things like hitting the dry brush or doing a black wash on stuff. But the dry brushing, washes, those things give so much detail and life to your dioramas, no matter whatever you're doing.
Absolutely.
But
now, for me, that's a beginner in all of this. You're saying all these terms, I have no clue what you're talking about. But now, I would assume you had some kind of background in art or anything like that, or
not really. I should have. I think in hindsight, I mean, I was always kind of like a art kid. I was like, I was always drawing in my notebook and getting C average in class because I would rather just draw or whatever. And then it was always an intention, to do something with art, but I think maybe the area I grew up in just wasn't real prone to that. So eventually I got into music, and then life and stuff like that. Went into the military. Time went by, and it wasn't until just kind of wanted to bring this stuff to life or whatever when I got back into Transformers, and wanted to keep that part of it was a big important part of my childhood. It was always there. Saturday morning, just like Saturday morning cartoons, which a lot of kids don't know about anymore. So being able to have that and see all these guys, and it feels
It's
good.
good
Very
stuff.
cool.
Hey,
Zane brought up-
you've got a question here. I guess
Mhm.
you were about to say the same thing, Jimmy.
Yep.
Yeah, Chris, what kind of ink do you use, and do you spray, brush, or a bit of both?
Particularly the like the background panels I airbrush about maybe 99% of that is airbrush. I might go in with a, a paintbrush and touch some stuff up, but it's mostly just airbrushing, and the paints I use are usually I try to use Createx brand stuff. They're usually the best ones, but you also got to know how to dilute them and thin them out so you're not clogging your airbrushes up. And and they make all kinds of different stuff. You can go to your art store; they've got like usually house brands of ink and stuff like that you can use. They're a little more fluid for stuff like this. You can find metallic paints, fluorescent paints, just all kinds of stuff. You just gotta, get out there and find the stuff you want to try out and mess around with.
Very cool.
Good
Very
information right there. Ninja Bill says thank you for your service.
That's the first one.
This is the first, the first diorama.
That's fantastic.
That was my first go at like an actual diorama. I mean, I'd had like some, just kind of quick throw together stuff on a shelf before, but this was my first attempt at like wanting to do stuff specifically for legend scale Transformers.
I think that
So,
looks dynamite. I'd be happy to have that in my collection. Like, it's a great first.
Yeah. That's an old panel too. I've added some clouds and stuff and some more blue textures to those panels.
Is that just
and it's so big. I did not measure it for anything. I just kind of bought some stuff, went at it, and I was just like, it's done. It's fun, And now where am I going to
so
put it?
I'm assuming that's a foam core board, and are you using a lot of like foam or clay, or what do you use?
This is all foam, like the whole structure. That's a foam board for the panels and the base, and then the rocks and everything. There's, that's ink foam and 1/4 inch foam, shred foam. But yeah, that's the new clouds right there. Clouds are fun to do. And this is actually for anybody who wants to like keep an eye on my YouTube account. This is a still from a stop motion series I'm going to be.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I'm a big stop motion.
Which is another big thing. I'm telling you, wanting to have that imagination that you had as a kid and finding a way to do this, and that takes it to another level is, I get these fantastic figures from these fantastic companies. I create a world for them to, sit in and live in. And now getting my hand, dipping my toe into the waters of stop motion or whatever, and finding a way to bring them to life, and it's addictive. It's a time warp, I've never seen 7 hours disappear so fast, but
yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, those look great. They look great together, man.
The bosses.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that just looks amazing right there.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shots. And the toy photography too, just being able to get good snaps at these guys.
What are you using for your photography?
I just snap. I got the one of my buddies. He went to school for photography, so I just see him just gritting his teeth whenever I talk about it. But I just got the new iPhone 16 at the time, and I know how to use some filters and how to get all the tones and everything to look the way I want them to look. Lighting's probably the most important part of the photography.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely. Now this was a piece you commissioned or got commissioned, right?
This is for a fellow named Mr. Chris Horton.
Chris is here in the chat.
Third Party Kingdom.
So
yeah.
So talk us through this. What was the inspiration? What was going on in your mind? All that good stuff.
So when I started throwing some of these online and showing some stuff off, I'd had quite a few people when I showed off pictures of that Ark you know, say, how much for this? How much is that? I'm just like, man, I don't know. I made this for myself, and I don't even know how long it would take me to reproduce a new one. And I don't even know what you're collecting. You know, it's like I scale these for my collection. So if somebody's whatever. So I've been kind of, it's always been on my mind to do commissions or something, but I was just kind of waiting until I got to a point where I was comfortable with materials I'm using and whatever, if I could do it. And so I wasn't going to, and Chris hit me up one night and asked me if I'd be interested. And I decided it's like, you know, I'll talk to the guy and see what he's thinking of, and, you know, just go from there. You know, if I feel like there's a middle ground in my mind where I could feel like I could make something happen. So he kind of gave me an idea that he wanted to do. He wanted a sort of like a council chamber originally for like the Nemesis primes. He's got some masterpiece Nemesis like Nox Promenon and stuff like that. And he was wanting some way to display them or something. So I kind of sat with that for a little while and started thinking of, you know, a ruined city of Kaon. You know, what would that look like? And just kind of went from there.
That's beautiful, man.
And
When I saw that, I went and researched the hell out of you and your work, and it's just gorgeous. Chris did the right move commissioning you, and Chris is wonderful. Chris's group is fantastic. He's so supportive of all of us, and you know, we appreciate Chris. So to see him get a piece like this is fantastic.
yeah, wonderful dude. The TF3PK, it's a fun community, lots of activity going on.
Absolutely. This is great. This photo here. I love the juxtaposition of Megatron, Galvatron, and Unicron.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I was sweating bullets with the Unicron. I was like, I really want to put this on here. I wasn't going to originally. It just came to me in my head one day, and I was like, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So I'm just like, I'll try it, and hopefully I'm not laying extra paint over, you know, something that I screwed
That
up.
is the creme de la creme, that Unicron.
Thank you.
There we go.
AK Designs wants to know, have you thought about how to ship this? Being made of foam, it can be destroyed in shipping.
That is something I'm looking into. That's why I haven't really pulled the trigger on, like, you know, trying to do open commissions and stuff like that, because exactly that, you know, the stuff that it's made out of. I work my real job. I work in a receiving department. I see how stuff comes off trucks. So the idea of, you know, me being able to do something like this, knowing that it would take not too much. So, and anything I'd want to go with sturdier than foam, you know, well, that's just going to break too, probably, you know. So
now, what backdrop is this?
This is actually off my Billy shelf. This is just a personal thing. This was my idea when I started going into this one was the Quantum Labs from the original cartoon, sort of like a after destruction. They had like a battle there or something. So I was originally going to put a sign in there. I just never got around to it. But in the back, I've got some pictures somewhere else. I don't think I said any in here, but like behind Menassor's legs on that piece of foam, I did it was like a perfect spot to do the issue number 5 Shockwave cover with the, you know, Transformers are all dead. So I got that painted in back there.
That's so cool. That is so cool. I mean, just really, really, really great work there. I mean, I when I saw the pictures, I was speechless myself. And just for you saying, hey, I'm just learning this, I'm thinking like, well, what is it going to look like 5 years, 10 years down the road? Like what your stuff is going to look like. I'm just blown away right now, and you're only going to get better at your craft, man. And I don't mean to. I know you're probably like, please stop saying this stuff. But and anyone that has any questions in the chat about that, or any tips or tricks or anything like that too, because I mean, I'm assuming you're learning, and you're like, if you all have any tips, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of. I mean, you can do things all kinds of ways. And I think really it's about you finding a way that works for you. You know, many times I've sat through so many tutorials trying to figure out how something is done, and it just didn't work out. You know, I find another way of doing it that actually worked out for me. But yeah, it's like I consider, like I say, I consider myself a novice. I see, you know, there are guys out there some name. Chris Bishop, if you've heard of him, he's got an amazing display. He's got like this in the middle of his display area is like this, looks like a kiosk from like a Target or something like that. It's just up and down, just like beautiful dioramas. Angel King's on here. He does some good stuff. And another guy, Jerry Ortiz, he's got a big diorama display. It looks like it looks like the back of a bar, like in his basement.
I've seen that. Yeah,
you know,
that looks great.
Yeah, he's got a lot of Magic Square stuff all over it. And then, as far as like, if you guys are interested in seeing like some stuff that I look at, that I'm just, if I'm gonna think that I'm a newbie at this stuff, which I feel like I am, look up somebody, Empire Toy Works. If you've never heard of it, like check it out. Empire Toy Works. His stuff is crazy. He's even got like a little action figure of himself that he'll like put into his photos and stuff. But it's like, if you like sci-fi, Star Wars, you know, Star Trek, it's like he does like some weird conglomeration, just like all this stuff, lost in space, and just kind of, you know, like it'll blow your mind.
Yep, I've got them pulled up for later. Actually, that's what I was, you know, doing the Tony Stark touchscreen thing. But you know, yeah, I'm a firm believer that the dioramas just add so much more life to our figures. And I tried to do the stop motion thing, but I don't have the patience and time for it. So
I didn't think I would. I like when I first tried, I was like, I'm gonna try it. I'm assuming I'm gonna hate it instantly, and I started getting into it, and it's like, this is fun. You know, it's like I got a little bumblebee I've had sitting around for who knows how many years, and it's like, I can make them do little fun little things.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I only do it like if I want to mess with my son. Sometimes I'll like find his figures and I'll do a stop motion of his figures, and he'll be like, why'd my toys move? And then one day he'll check my phone out and he'll see the toys walking.
Dad, my stuff.
No, I do it as a stop motion. He'll look at it and be like, Dad, they were moving. You know, it's just the fun things of being a dad to a little one.
Yeah, that was something else that kind of really started. That's what really kind of pushed me toward doing like a YouTube page or something. It's like, I mean, I get messages for the idea of doing commissions, or people asking if I'd be interested in doing stuff. But like, as somebody mentioned, like the logistics of figuring out shipping and, you know, what it's going to cost to be able to ship something in a way that it's not going to get destroyed. If somebody like had a guy sent a message that he's in Europe, you know, I would love to send something to somebody in Europe, but I don't want him to get a box of, you know, busted stuff. I mean, not that I wouldn't reimburse the guy for it, but yeah, don't use automotive paint on.
Yep, I was going to say that or spray paint. Absolutely not. I always like to Mod Podge my foam pieces first.
Yeah, I was sculpt, trim, coat. I usually use Mod Podge.
I like to do Mod Podge mixed with black paint, so I can get that black coat first as well.
Sometimes I prime, sometimes I don't. Just, you know, I'll usually lay a little bit of paint on just to kind of see how it overcomes. Then I'll usually do a layer of Mod Podge just to have like an extra protection over the paint.
Yeah, that Mod Podge is the best.
Yeah, but this also with the YouTube stuff, wanting to do sort of not like so much of a tutorial as like on how to do something, but more of like how I do it, you know. So maybe like a quick, you know, this is how I do lava, you know, this is how, you know, I'll do a piece of rock, you know. So do little tutorials like that on there. Then also have, you know, I can do like, you know, little my stop motion stuff, plus whatever dioramas I finish up at the time, and little things like that, toy photography. So it's mostly just kind of like a fun place for all the stuff.
I found building my dioramas, E6000 glue eats away at the foam, right? Like it just melts it. But if you use it properly, you can get amazing water and lava effects with the E6000. You peel it back after it's like not fully dry, but right before it's dry, you can pull it back, and it leaves a really nice organic layer underneath. And then you can mix paint with an epoxy resin, and you get your water. And that's how I do all my water effects. It's the coolest thing. And I found it on mistake. Like I generally would use like a Gorilla, like wood glue for sealing my pieces. But one day I
Yeah,
didn't
that
have
can tear up
anything,
your
so I
film
just used
too.
the E6000 and it ate through the whole diorama. I was like, son of a
Yeah,
bitch.
yeah, that Mang Motion
My
or Mang
motion's the
Motion.
best.
Somebody sorry about that. Yeah, Mang Motion's great, but the Gorilla Glue, they're like if it's not, if it's the core of the actual foam is exposed, like it'll eat
Yep.
through that. I've seen that. You know, I learned that. I got away with using it before I figured out that it will eat the
Okay.
foam. And then I think there's a spray sealer. I can't remember what it was, Krylar or something. I think I used that when I was doing my Arc diorama, and I had not used it before, but I wanted a nice sealant on the stuff. So uh, my Arc's got like a little panel in there that I can take out, and I can store accessories and stuff inside in the little entrance tunnel. But that little panel I took, I went ahead and I coated that first, and I turned around and looked, and that thing just got
Like a
ate up,
xenomorph
just
got shot on.
integrated. I'm so glad I did it on one piece and not just the whole, kit and caboodle all at once. So it was a learning experience. But yes, I will be. It's the stop motions are in my diary.
I can't wait for your stop motions, and I agree. If your levels of stop motion are good, I mean, Mang Motion is, I guess, the king of stop motion at this moment. But let's see if you come after the crown.
They're fun. Yeah, they're just little. They're shorts, like kind of minute and a half, maybe 3 minutes long, but maybe like some of them might be like maybe a little bit of a story. Some might just be some candid robot stuff, somebody messing around or just whatever. They're not trying to get too crazy.
Chris, real quick, Jason Sled wants to know, where are you located? I'm trying to figure out a possible road trip might be feasible to avoid shipping issues. And after this, I'm going to make a suggestion for shipping for you.
That's going to be a long trip,
Okay.
Jason. I can tell you where you're from.
I'm in the beautiful city of Fountains of Kansas City, Missouri.
That's about when I drove from Nashville to Kansas City, that's about a 12-hour drive, 12, 13 hours on that. So
there was something with Chris Horton, his dios. I was like, well, he's in the Dallas area, so that's not too
not a bad. That's not a bad trip. That's straight down 35, man.
Yeah, just maybe it's 8 hours or something like that, but yeah, just straight shot.
That's not bad. So, have you considered possibly for the larger dios shipping it in pieces? And like I use for some of my taller ones, I use strong magnets, right? So the magnets are embedded on each side of the foam, and then those magnets seal up, and
yeah, that's something that's actually what I've been thinking about engineering wise, I guess, is like being able to have it to where I can break it down, not just ship a box.
Yeah, because I mean, why ship like a 3 foot tall box when you can break it down and have it into a maybe 8-inch to 10?
Yeah, you have your panels down that and just magnetized. Like I'm actually those with the two that I just made for Chris. I'm actually doing some tweaks on, so I might be able to get those panels, broken down and magnetized.
Yeah, and the magnetizing is great. It makes it easier too for them.
Because then he'd be able to switch them up too, since they're the same size. So if he wants to swap them out or something like that.
Exactly. And it also makes it easier to put it in your display case. Sometimes the display case doors open up and you can't fit the piece that's measured to the shelf because that's wider than the doors. So if you have,
you measured it to your shelf, but you not take into account the puck light or whatever you got inside to light up your display is now a 1/4 inch in the way of getting your stuff into the shelf.
It's a nightmare.
Now you're sitting.
So those magnets, that's why I use them. It saves me the headache. Like, okay, I snap this together and we're good to go. Plus, New Age RC has those magnets in her feet. So, I have spots on certain dioramas where I've embedded the magnet so I can have her in like a really cool running pose.
Clever.
So little things. I don't mind sharing what I do, like whatsoever. Especially if it's going to help you hone your craft, man. Like I do this for fun. Like that shit's beautiful. It really just.
Yeah, I'd thought about the magnet stuff for a while. So I saw somebody. It was like they looked like some art gallery type like they were made out of look like oak, dioramas, and they had like magnetized boards or whatever, and just like shove those into some foam and
that's it.
Whatever.
And those magnets you get them cheap. I forget where I was getting them from, but you get like 100 magnets for like nothing. It's
Hmm.
you know, it's more like here it's more convenient to do this way than sit there and wait for the glue to set and have everything pressed together, and the magazine.
Yeah, I did that with like my first few, and then I learned, it's a lot easier to just be able to, set it up into sections that you just kind of build into
Yep.
your shelf. It's easy, if I move or I need to get a new TV to stand or something like that, just slide everything out instead of having some big fragile piece that's just waiting to
One
fall
solid
apart.
piece is
You
is always waiting to break. That's the easiest way to put it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the stop motion.
Yeah. So are you like so the future of this for you, have you started thinking about like are you dabbling into anything like 3D printing or looking into that or leaving that to somebody else
Uh,
and you're like I'll do the art stuff, somebody else could 3D print it for me?
I've had a buddy of mine who's trying to really push me into the 3D print area, and I mean, I'm not against it. I kind of like going back to logistics of space and the time, like to be able to, I mean, they make them in all different sizes. I see some guys that try to push stuff out. They have to have an entire basement of their house dedicated to 7 machines, doing different things. Plus, I have a cat. I don't want to sit there spend 12 hours on something. I come home, find out my cat brushed up against it, and and just ruined 12 hours of
Yep.
work. Plus the constant like filaments and stuff like that for it. Like I think it's cool. I I think I just feel like I like getting in there with my hands and be able to chisel something out. And the arguments I have every time I get into a project, me and rulers just we have problems. Just like you said it was fine. I did it fine, but now it's not fine. What's
So,
going on? So I'm sitting there shaking rulers. Me and the rulers, the
Darn
basic rulers.
imperial
So I'm not
system.
the not an engineer.
so you said getting in there with your hands, right? I know a
Hmm.
lot of people do the ball of tinfoil to get texture, right?
I
I
use
tried
rocks.
the tinfoil thing; it didn't work for me. Like it just, I don't know. I actually go in and I hand like detail my spots. I have one of those.
Like for like ground and rocks and
Yeah, I
stuff
have a
like
heat
that.
tool that I use.
Yeah, I use my girl. She's a sort of a rock hound, and maybe there's a couple of rock hounds on her end of the family, and so we've just got weird rocks
Okay,
laying around. So I find something that's going to leave a good. I'll sit there and just smash some stuff in, see kind of what they do. I usually find 2 or 3 that are kind of my go-to, for just stuff like that, and just run them over. Just keep making
that's
dents.
awesome.
Then
Figure-
that's when that makes that mat for that black wash if you start doing black washes on
That
there.
black wash with those little indents and details is just mind blowing. And I had to ask that question simply
Mhm.
because earlier you said, I've watched some tutorials and they're just not for me. Like the way that certain techniques just didn't suit you. And I'm like, the foam, not the foam, the tinfoil ball just did not work for me. I tried every shape and size imaginable. So I was like, let me ask,
Mhm.
you know. Um, so I'm happy to hear
Yeah.
you use real rocks and you've got a few that really just do it for you. Are you
Yeah.
opposed to
Yep.
using real organic materials in your dioramas, like to get a look that maybe your level of sculpting or your level of crafting just hasn't brought you to yet? Are you opposed to bringing in like a real like stick or a real rubber?
Oh yeah, my most of them are covered with that stuff. Like I'll run outside and handful of dirt and some gravel or whatever, and just kind of see what I can pull out of it. It's like sod and stuff. You find like little
Yep,
twigs or whatever. And that kind of sort of looks like a worn out old log out of a wood forest. Just I'll keep a little box. I just throw stuff like that into, and if I find a place for it, I find a place for it.
perfect.
So
Nice. I like hearing that.
mhm.
I'm the same way. I just figured I'd ask. You know,
Yeah, I tried doing one with actual like the lava rocks. You can get for
yeah,
plants or
absolutely.
whatever. Like I had some really cool looking rocks, and just like, oh man, these look pretty wicked. It's like that's pretty cool. Iron Hat's gonna hang out here, have lunch, out here in the woods, and tried picking that thing up. It weighed like 20
Oy.
pounds. Just like, yeah.
So on that note, if you found some cool lava rocks like that, there's always the possibility of casting them, right? Would you be opposed to trying like a lightweight casting to make that work for you, or is that something that you haven't dabbled in? Like, I don't trust my ability in casting to try that. I feel I'll just make a mess.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but like I said, it'd make a mess. But and I'm fine with if I can make my own rocks, I'll just make my own rocks. I can make them real quick. So
sounds good.
It's like if I ever need to cast, maybe I'll look into it.
I'm looking forward to just seeing what kind of concepts you can come up with, because to let the chat and everyone know, I've commissioned you, hopefully challenged you, and it probably cost me an arm and a leg when I come to find out about it, because I love Iron Factory stuff. That's my third. That's my third favorite Legends company is Iron Factory, and they do a lot of stylized things. They're mainly IDW, but then they have their samurai bots. And I keep talking to Billy. I was like, I love a like feudal Taisho era Japan Cybertron, like a metallic, old school Japanese with the honor, everything like that. And so, just curious at thinking about that, like because a lot of your stuff's organic with rocks and stuff like that. What kind of challenges would that pose, maybe to do buildings and things like that? Would you say?
Probably. I mean, it's like there are certain aspects, that I need to grab to be able to get what you're looking for. And when you explained it to me, with the samurai stuff, like, I asked you to send me some, art or whatever things that you might have had in mind. And in the meantime, waiting for that, I was thinking, I guess what came to my mind in that era was like the original Mortal Kombat games, where they have in like the backgrounds and stuff like that. And also, I was like huge. I used to wear out my Big Trouble in Little China cassette on VHS.
I've got the shirt.
A lot of that's kind of yeah. There we go. So I mean, I'll just kind of see where it goes. Like I'll map something out, I'll sketch stuff out, and then when it comes to actually laying stuff, getting stuff laid down, it will become its own thing. Usually, how it goes.
Hey, I'll lend you the bots if you want to play with them too, as well. So.
This cat likes to get inside my art, so I'll come home and everything is everywhere. She's sitting in the tunnel, just hanging out.
That's funny. Zane Bono Figures has asked for inspiration. What about a diorama of Mount St. Hilary with not only the Ark but levels of the Autobot base within the mountain, just like in the Gen 1 episode Nightbird?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be something to do.
It's a lot of space.
I mean, I probably wouldn't do it for myself unless and that's something I feel like I'd probably have to dedicate like at least half a Billy case to.
Easy.
For that.
AK Designs by Angel Kings, another great designer out there. You can use colored rocks, colored crystal rocks, and use red and yellow LEDs under the rocks to give a lit up hot lava look. I love that.
Yeah, these are the guys. Yeah, this guy here. These are the guys that get into that electronic engineering.
I don't trust myself with LEDs.
I'm not inclined that way. They look fantastic. I see it, and I'm just like, ugh. Right now, and maybe down the road, it's like I've messed around with some of the epoxy lava forms, and I found currently I'm probably not settled with how I do the lava. It's like I think it's fine right now, but I kind of use a it's like a Vallejo texture, sort of like a texture paint, so it's kind of grainy or whatever. And I just use that and kind of brighten it up and paint it down. I've also used caulk for lava, just to be able to. You could probably use it for water or anything like that if you're just painting it. And you got guys like this coming in there with their wires and electricity and lights.
Why'd Billy's house burn down? Oh, we tried.
Yeah. But it looked great.
It looks so good for those pictures. Big M, welcome to the show. Right? Really good to have you here. Yeah, I know if I did the lights, I'd burn the house down. Oh, yeah. I want to try it, but I don't have faith in my electrical skills.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a friend of mine turned me onto a site. I guess it's got a bunch of like those little lights and wires and stuff. Like you can just buy them. They're super cheap. So he showed that site to me. I don't remember what it was called, but probably people that do dioramas, especially like the miniature train stuff, it's probably right up their alley. Yep. So I start going down that avenue, I know
That's
where to
it.
go.
That's
That's
good.
it.
That's good.
But
And I'm happy to hear you're a Legends guy, that the Legends are really what sunk us in. Like, if you look behind me, it's all Legends minus Unicron, but
Hmm.
he fits. And every shelf in here is a different diorama. You know, the Autobots.
Yeah, the Unicron is technically Legend scale.
If I don't know if he was
I
Legends
would say
scale, I
he's
think
probably
he'd be the
Dr. Wu
size of
scale.
this case. You
I would
know,
say
Yeah.
Unicron's probably Dr. Wu scale there.
that if
Yeah,
we're
I think
not
that
even, because he
that
Yeah.
little Metroplex is still too
Yeah.
short.
That's
AK
it.
Design said something, and I can't see what it is, unfortunately.
It's
Let's see. Let's,
it's emojis, laughing emojis on that. So Norm has
Diecast
a question.
Norbs, long-time listener, first-time caller. Can I ask, if it hasn't been covered yet, what's your favorite piece you've ever done? That's a great question, Norbs.
Probably my favorite piece is my stand display with the
I'll pull
Ark
it
and
back
the
up in case so Norm
Ultimate. I mean,
hasn't
it's
seen
kind of
it.
a
Well,
kind of an
Norbs came in
all-encompassing
late,
thing.
so he didn't even get to see these beautiful pieces.
You didn't get to see the pictures. Yeah, this stuff here, since it's got it's a good place to keep all my autos in one spot and mess around with stuff. So that's probably my favorite one right
And
now.
I love that you
That's-
went Ultimate Doom theme with that lava battle. Like, Ultimate Doom is my favorite, uh, like, story arc
story arc for the
in Gen 1. Like, that is just so cool. And, I love seeing it represented here in this scale. It's really nice.
I
You
honestly
needed,
think the
yeah.
next scene that needs to be in that arc is the office where Optimus Prime has to pay all the bills, has to do all the paperwork and things like that. Yeah,
basketball.
where he's bringing in people that,
Yeah.
hey, let's talk, let's go over your performance
Yeah.
review, all that.
I know. Yeah, I noticed Screamer is not pictured on the Decepticon side. He's actually on location filming.
that's good stuff. Yeah,
Look at that.
Norbs,
Some of the
we
pictures
agree.
below.
It is so great. And we just felt he really needed a spotlight. The work's just beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to the stop motion, especially those. But yeah, and that's a commission piece for Chris from
Hmm. Chris Horton from Transformers Third
that's
Party
it.
Kingdom, and he's currently trying to turn me masterpiece. But
Listen, I loved Masterpiece. I was MP only, and I had a room just of all detoffs of MP figures. And then I don't know if you're a member of TF Underground. It's a game site. Tim Reagan sent me out some Legends figures, and I was really impressed. He sent me their Galvatron, New Ages Galvatron, some Iron Factory stuff, and it was just really good. And once I got that Cyclonus in hand and realized it was more articulated than the Masterpiece that I was gagaing over, it was so easy for me to just say, I'm done with MP. I'm going all in on the Legends. And I don't regret it. It's been
yeah,
years. I have no regrets. I tried it too. I bought a couple MPs to see if I made a mistake, and absolutely not. Legends is the flipping best.
yeah. I got the only MP figure I've got is MP1, and I got that whenever it came out. I didn't know that it was going to become a thing, and honestly, I didn't know that became a thing for years, well over a decade. Before I found out there's this whole thing of masterpiece Transformers that are scaled, and MP1 was like the first one, and I remember having that and just being amazed at how it's like, this looks like Optimus from the cartoon, and the hour and a half I spent trying to transform him, and weighs 12 pounds. I mean, as cool as it was, but to me it was always just like a display piece. I couldn't just play with it, and so I was never, whenever I started seeing like the masterpiece stuff come around, I wasn't turned off, but I just wasn't pulled into it because of my experience with MP1. It's like, well, I want to play with it, right? Because I'm always a kid. The idea of just displaying the stuff it's not good enough. It's probably why I stopped, getting so hard into baseball cards. It's like I collect them and then they just sit on the wall. But so then the Legends scale came around, and I was like, they call them mini masterpieces or whatever. They look great. I'll get one, kind of see how it feels, if it's a headache. And I was amazed, even besides like the transforming element, the articulate. I felt like I was playing with like GI Joes again. It's like the knee bends and the being able to ab crunches and stuff. It's like, this is great.
That's a great way to
put
it. Felt like I was playing with GI Joes again. That is a really good way to put it. AK Design states, hey, 10 Legends in one shelf and 4 Max for the MP in the same shelf. And that's what made it real easy. And Zane Bono, Legends are a masterpiece. They're just mini masterpiece. Zane, I agree with you, but I also disagree because I've got some Legends that are far better than their masterpiece counterparts. Look at the New Age Bumblebee. Is this little tiny thing, and it blows Masterpiece Bumblebee out of the water.
That piece is amazing.
That
for how big it is, how small it is, I guess.
Pulled off.
What it does. It's like, I don't care. Like, you see other people complaining about, it's so panely and you can see all the pins. Like, that doesn't bother me because for me, that's a way of stylizing G1 to me. Like, that stuff doesn't bother me. So, I mean, I know some people like the people are hardcore into the Magic Square because it looks like they peeled it right off the screen, and they got it right there. Which is, it's cool. But I like the little things that make a difference. Like, stylization is always cool as long as I can look at it and I can say, hey, that's Jazz, not like the Transformers Bayverse where I said, I guess that's Jazz, and they killed him off in the first movie, and then I never saw him again.
Exactly. Well, I mean, those robots in the Bayverse, I mean, that's nothing but panel lines, right?
Thing. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great for. I'll be 46 this year, and I know guys that work that Bayverse was their G1,
of course.
So, and I respect that. It's like, it wasn't really my bag if that's all it was.
My middle daughter had a bunch of kids over, and they saw I had stuff out for doing a review. And like, oh, we love Transformers. And I was like, oh, what's your favorite one? And they brought up Bayverse stuff, and I realized, oh, yeah, it's this generation.
I've got a couple nephews. I grabbed them some G1 KOs for like their birthday or Christmas or something. And they're like, oh, cool. 5 minutes later, they're done playing with them. They've already transformed them 100 times, and it's cool. And they're in the room playing with their, Brawl, some MP size Brawl, just like flipping around. They come over, it's like, hey, can I get that MP1 down and mess around with it?
Of course. Like, okay. AK Designs wants to know, what do you think of Kang Toys? I'll let you. Do you know Kang Toys? Have you seen their stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It looks like it'll hurt if you drop one on your lap.
You can cut the wrong artery and bleed out on those, but they're very cool looking. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, they're very. I saw the Predaking. I saw the new Dinobots. I guess
they're very stylized. They're very cool looking. But yeah, gosh, very pointy.
Yeah, they're too stylized for this grumpy old man.
The new Insecticons look pretty cool.
They're so big.
Yeah.
Those.
Yeah, but King Toys, they're okay. But again, like for myself, I do have some masterpiece. I've transitioned mostly to the Legends, G1 Vintage, and then mainline. And then, but I do have some because I'm a character collector. Like if there's a certain character I like, for instance, Bingo Toys' Jazz. That thing looks cool.
That's beautiful.
I want it. And that I'm gonna. Hopefully, Chris has got me on the list for one. But anyway, there and then of course that Rodimus, that Machina Rodimus looks so cool. And I'm like, hey, if it's a cool design, I'll get it. I like it. It'll look really cool. But mainly for me, it's all G1. It's about G1. It's about that style. That I'll buy that any day of the week on that. So
it's pretty. That's my same. Pretty much on my same table as like the vintage G1 Legends, and then it wasn't till recently when that AMT Rodimus and then that Jezzy came out, and it's like these are stylized and they're not even my scale, but they look really cool.
Damn cool.
Like if I saw these,
that's kind of my appeal with like Iron Factory is they have that stylized Legends scale.
Yeah, I don't have any Iron Factory. I've got super interested in grabbing a piece.
Their Lio-Kaiser.
Grabbed one.
Their Lio-Kaiser is probably
here. I was thinking about trying to find a
Tarn is really great too. Yes.
Iron Factory is a great
because
company.
I'm sort of lining out my characters. You know, I don't have a Tauren, so maybe I can grab.
You won't be
Tauren
disappointed. You know, they're definitely in the top 3 companies. You'll never get a bad quality figure from them. You know, you just have to be willing to accept a little bit of change in the designs.
Yeah.
But I give them props for that. Like, they're doing their own thing and they're succeeding. And that's
I
what
love
you
that
want.
there's
Yeah.
more companies out there that are coming out with that legend scale. Craftsman Toys, with
Craftsman
their
Toys is awesome. If you don't have their whatever the first Technobot they released is, yeah. If you don't have that,
yeah, I've been considering it.
Don't consider it anymore. Get it.
I couldn't believe how impressed I was when I bought that figure. I was just like, I'm like, to me, it was a filler. Like, okay, I need the Technobots. Magic Square is going to do it. They own the combiner world, but this will be a great filler for the time being. And after playing with it, I was like, holy shit, this is killer. People need to buy this. And I think I told Jimmy, like, you need this and you need it now. Or maybe not Jimmy. It might have been an autocorrect primer, but I told someone they need it. And they messaged me like, oh, it came in and thank you so much. Zane Bono with a question for Chris. Here's something out of left field. Have you ever thought of displaying your work at BotCon or TFCon, similar to how Alvin Reyes did last year with the 3D printed divorce class figures at TFCon?
Had I thought about it? Not really, but would I want to? Absolutely. I think that would be a huge honor just to be able to sit at a table and do something like that and talk to people. And, you know, if I got something I can hand out, that'd be great, you know, for something like that. But I would love to be able to sit at a TFCon.
Yeah, TFCon's awesome. Not sure if you've been to one yet.
Not yet. I'm considering going to.
I'm considering it. Yeah.
We'll be there. It's a great time, man. You wouldn't be disappointed.
Yeah, I figure this is probably, if I'm going to start going, I probably need to start going at least this year, or at least very soon. I know I want to meet Mr. Cullen before, you know, he's getting up there. You know, Father Time's coming around, and that's that'll be a hard one for me.
Yeah, it'll be a hard one for all of us.
You know, it was his voice that I just had this conversation with my lady. His voice was the first one as a kid that kind of hit me out. Some people are doing the same voice as the characters because I was a huge Dino Riders kid too. So Peter Cullen, you know, did you know, some Dino Riders voice work, and you know, like the Winnie the Pooh stuff. But I didn't watch that too much. But you know, Dino Riders.
Love Dino Riders.
You seen the prices of some of those?
I literally had a conversation tonight about Dino Riders with my buddy as we were building.
How come nobody's bringing it back? A third-party Dino Riders?
Mattel has the license for Dino Riders. Mattel also has the Jurassic Park license. It's killing me that they're making the best dinosaur toys in years, and they're not double dipping with giving us a Dino Riders revival. Now, maybe it's Universal saying, no, you can't use our designs. You know, who knows? But I believe at TFCon Baltimore, there was a guy there showing off 3D printed prototypes for Dino Rider figures that would be compatible with the Jurassic World stuff. And you know, but nothing's come to fruition yet. But
I need my Dimetrodon. I need my Diplodocus. That's what I want.
The sauropods.
Somebody's got one in a box for $1,500, but I'm not pulling on that going.
I would love some 3D printed armor for my Jurassic figures. That would be so damn cool. So that's great.
I just need a T-Rex for my caveman Batman. I think he needs to ride a T-Rex.
Ride a T-Rex. Does he wear a mask too? The T-Rex?
That would be awesome.
That'd be friggin' funny as hell.
That would be awesome.
Jason Steele says hello, by the way. I pulled that up like 10 minutes ago, and then we talked Dino Riders. You can't pull that on me, man. We'll talk that all day.
Hey, I still watch it. If I get a chance,
That's
I watch
awesome.
it.
Yeah, I'd love some modern rule-ons and all that. That'd be
in your face, Krulon.
It's good stuff there. So generally around 11 o'clock we do wrap up because some of us are old men and sleep and things like that. Before we
Gotcha.
do, hold on. Norbs wants Dino Saucers. I'm cool with some Dino Saucers. That theme song, I still pull that up every once in a while. That theme song, and then there's one of the boards in the Ninja Turtles NES game that I pull up and listen to the music from that. But anyway, I'm veering off. Where can people find you? I know you're on YouTube. I know you're on Facebook. What do we got going on?
Right now, I just opened the YouTube page. You can friend me on Facebook. I'm in a few groups there. Transformer Displays is one of them, which I want to mention. Like when we were talking about displays of dioramas, there are some people out there that have some fantastic, almost museum level
You said
displays.
Transformers displayed?
Transformers displays. Look up a guy named Bobby Allen and a guy named Josh Lanham. Those guys, they look like museum collections, like behind glass. I know Bobby Allen. He's got a lot of G1. He's like a big G1 collector. I mean, he's got all kinds of stuff, but I think G1 is.
I'm looking them up right now. So when this is done later, that's what I'm going to be looking at.
Yeah, Transformers displays. Shout out to those guys. Transformers Legends collectors. I'm in that group. Third Party Kingdom, Mr. Horton, and Instagram. I'm on Instagram every day.
Are you Instagram under Ark Legends?
TF Ark Legends on Instagram. TF _Ark _Legends on Instagram. And then, I just started a Reddit, messing around on Reddit. So I'll see how that goes. If I
following you right now, brother.
So.
Yeah, man, of course.
But for now, that's where I'm at. I can get a hold of me at really any of those.
Awesome, that's good stuff. But yeah, I love your work. I know Jimmy and I are planning on going to TFCon, so if you do decide to go, we'll definitely spend some time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got.
I'm going to try to make it work.
That's the thing, is making it work. That's the big thing.
Force it to happen.
So, but I hope you had a good time with us tonight.
No, this is wonderful. This is great. I had a great time. I don't really my outside world. I don't really have a whole lot of, my nerd friends are kind of, off doing their own thing. So, and I've been in the world of music, the music industry and whatever for a long time. So kind of every now and it's like not something I just bring up all the time unless I stumble across, some figures in somebody's house and be like, what are you doing with that?
That's all. So it's funny. I retired from music in the middle of the COVID thing. And that's when I started my dioramas, because it was instead of doing shows every weekend, I was looking for some dragon to chase, and I started building. So awesome that you're a music guy. Nice to have a brother in that world too. That's how I'll word it. And TF Legends Collectors is a fantastic group. So
they're very fun.
I love it. Jimmy, you got anything to say, brother?
No, man, this has been awesome. I mean, again, just the amount of talent in this room. I am humbled by both of y'all and the things that y'all can do. But no, keep it up. I hope we can see you at TFCon. It would be great. I know Tim's planning a TF Underground. I don't know if it's Tim, but they're doing a TF Underground meetup. I don't know if Transformers Third Party Kingdom is going to be doing a meetup. Billy and I will probably just jump from meetup to meetup.
I think we're going to end up just maybe we should dress like the Blues Brothers or something, and just because we're in Chicago, right?
We're on a mission from God.
And just go to every group.
As long as we can do the dance, the choreography, that'd be great.
I'm down. I'll sing Rubber Biscuit and everything, man.
There we go. But kind of what we do when we end this is we kind of do a freeze frame because it takes a little bit for the stream to end, and then once it goes off, we go off, and it's almost like that Naked Gun where you kind of pause, but still stuff are going on in the background, right? So until next week, we'll let you know what's going on next week. We don't have our next guest lined up just yet, but we will definitely have that for you, and we'll talk all sorts of nerdery and Transformers stuff. So for Billy, myself, and TF Ark Legends, thank you all for showing up and showing out. So we'll see you later.